Okay. In three, in three, two, one. Listeners, welcome to the Business Method Podcast. I am joined today by Erin Young, who is an entrepreneur from Australia. And she has hopped on the mic today. She's going to share with us everything that she's learned over the past few years about building an 8-figure business as a woman. That's right. You're at 8 figures, right? Is that Erin?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
That's correct. Okay, cool. So she's going to hop on and share about her journey. She has an incredible story, you guys. She's going to tell us about the challenges that she's come up with building her first business, talking and then using that as kind of a learning platform to build her second business, which is now Arena Strength, and how she's scaled it over the past couple of years to 8 figures while running a fully employed team of all women and only working 38 hours per week. The whole entire team only works 38 hours per week, which I think is really impressive. So, Erin, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Great. Thank you. I'm really excited. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you. Actually, we went back and forth for I think 9 or 10 months or so, talking about having you on the podcast, and then you sent me a message, and then you said, "Hey, I'm ready to come on," and I said, "Okay, let's do it." Right?
And I think
Go
I
ahead.
was going to say it's going to be better having waited even because my business, even in the last 8 months with Corona, it's kind of transformed. So I think there'll be a lot more even inside doing it now rather than 8 months ago. So
Well, plus now you're expecting as well, right? And so,
exactly.
right.
Trying to manage my transition out or like having at least 3 months off next year when I'm due in March. So
Exactly. Like I love these stories because as there's you can look anywhere and you see in the entrepreneurial world a male dominated industry because men just, I don't know, they like to become entrepreneurs and it's part of, I guess, their biology. And then you get these really awesome females that come in and build these amazing businesses, and something that 50 years ago really didn't exist. If you look back into the 50s and the 60s in at least North America and a lot of places around the world, um, I don't know any story of all actually of a woman building an 8-figure business. Do you? Can you think of any?
yeah, not really. Like I think you have this examples of Spanx and things like that, but I think
Mm-hmm.
you hardly hear about it when it doesn't require investment, doesn't require like living in a startup city, doesn't require huge work weeks, that sort of thing. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Well, what's even more cool is like you're a full-on lifestyle entrepreneur as well, because one time we were talking back and forth and you're like, "Hey, I'm in Iceland, I'm doing this thing, I'm just traveling now." And then I looked at your Facebook and all your pictures are, you're in London, you're in Thailand, you're in some foreign country, you and your fiance, and you're traveling around the world. And at one point you minimized your work hours only to 30 hours per week, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. Well, even now, for the past month, I've kind of been doing it a little bit less because I was quite tired. So kind
Mm-hmm.
of just doing 3 to 4 hours a day, Monday to Friday. So I definitely don't have to work my full. I'm trying to do 38 hours, but I don't have to do that. I have a team now in place. I could work as little as an hour a day. So it's really nice to have that flexibility and freedom and to have to build that into my business. So.
Yeah, it's very cool. So tell us what your business is now, and then all the links and where we can find you, and then we'll jump into the story.
Yeah, sure. So my business is called Arena Strength, and it's a fitness brand that empowers women. And our main products are kind of booty bands and fabric long resistance bands. And I guess if you want to get in touch with me, the best way to do that is go to arenastrength.com/learn. And what I'm going to forward this link to is a Facebook group, How to Build a Seven-Figure Business Without Giving Up Your Life. And that's a free lecture series that I created for any kind of entrepreneurs looking to take their business to the next level. And I really just offer a lot of the resources that I learned and the journey that I went on with Arena Strength. So that's totally free. I'm a part of the group. And I'd love to share that kind of free knowledge with all the women entrepreneurs out there or any entrepreneurs really. So
Very cool. When did you start your entrepreneurial journey?
sure. So I was 21 and I'm 32 now, so it was more than 10 years ago. And
Uh-huh.
I guess it was in my final year of university, I joined an entrepreneur society, and someone gave me the 4-hour work week, and I read that book maybe in 2 days. And I thought to
2 days,
myself,
nice.
yeah, I was like, this Tim Ferriss guy, he's onto something. I'm just going to follow his advice.
Uh-huh.
And then so I was just, I did some research and I just kind of had the idea of like selling matcha green tea in Australia, which wasn't available at the time. And that was kind of my first foray into entrepreneurship. And I built this little matcha tea company.
Mhm.
And I ran it on the side, kind of moonlighting in my full-time jobs for a number of years. And then I got a distributor contract with that, and it went into around 3,000 health food stores in Australia. And that's when I thought to myself, well, now I can maybe take a year off, go travel, make my business remote. And then I haven't looked back since. So I left around 5 years ago from Australia,
Uh-huh.
and have been kind of living abroad. I met my partner abroad. And that's how I got into it, really, just following Tim's advice, which is, I'm sure, how many people got into it.
Were you in school for business? Was that your
Yeah,
major?
so yeah, I did study commerce, liberal studies at Sydney, but I wouldn't say I really learnt much in that. I think I maybe learned, yeah, I always did part-time jobs, and I guess I learned to hustle in that. And it did allow me to live a year in Germany on exchange. And the key lesson I got from that was, wow, it sucks being in Europe traveling when you're poor, and because it really restricted me. So that's when I was kind of like, I'd love to take a year out and travel and not use my savings, be able to earn money at the same time. So that kind of like drive then really pushed me to join the Entrepreneur Society, which then, started the journey really. So
Yeah, I know how you feel. I went to graduate school for business, and I learned some good things, but I often have these daydreams of going back to my university and lecturing the graduate students about real world entrepreneurship, especially like what's going on now, especially if you're a bare knuckle entrepreneur where you're starting off everything up, on your own, and you're building it from nothing. And compared to some of the things I learned, I think about my old professors and just what they were teaching in marketing. And I was just kind of like, I don't, I don't know if that was really
totally.
the best business education, but I'm sure a lot of people got a lot of value out of it. The social experience, though, for me in university was phenomenal.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. It's what made it, I guess.
yeah. And so you started matcha green tea in so about 11 years ago, right? And you built it up, and then you got to the point, you got it in 3,000 stores, and you got to the point where you could take a year off and you decided to go travel. And were you working on the business any during that year, or was it completely off?
Yeah, so I was still working on the business. I guess so I left Australia and I moved to Ireland because my ex-boyfriend ran an Irish dairy farm. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to move to Ireland, live in a dairy farm, run my business, like life's going to be grand.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then, yeah, but I got there and I really hated Ireland. It was so rainy. I was like, I went to the city of Cork and tried to find a co-work space, and it was just like the most awful experience. And then so I survived 4 months there. And then it just wasn't the life I wanted to live. I kept thinking to myself, I didn't build a remote business so I could live in the place that I wouldn't want to live in least. And so we broke up on good terms, and I kind of had this blank slate in front of me. And I thought to myself, okay, like, I don't know what's next, but I'm not very happy. I'm just going to focus the next 4 months on being happy. And then I have a flight booked home to Australia. I booked it from Colombia.
Hmm.
And so I basically hopped on a plane, got to Mexico, backpacked for 4 months through Central America, read a lot of books, and kind of just mapped out the vision I wanted in my life. What values do I want to live by every day? What do I want in my next partner? What do I want out of life? And that kind of just gave me a lot of clarity. And then when I got to Medellin in Colombia, I decided to learn like intensive salsa. And I met my partner, my husband now, Arthur. So we were there living in that city for 2 months. And that was a time where he actually challenged me a little bit. He's like, you're running Zen Green Tea, you're in the Australian market. He's like, but I think that you need to, take a step back and look bigger. Like, what about the US? It's a huge market. And that's when I kind of was like, you're right. I'm never going to achieve what I want out of life just playing in Australia and just with this small green tea company.
Hmm.
So I had another idea for a product, which is a booty band, kind of a latex figure 8 band. And I built a program around it of like how to like tone your butt and your thighs. And I developed that because I'd injured my lower back and I needed strong glutes, and I was using that anyway. And the side effect was a great butt. So I was like, women in America, they'll buy this. And then I learned how to sell on Amazon. I listed that product within kind of 2 months. It was doing really well, like $50,000 a month. And it was just so much easier than the slog I had with Zen Green Tea to build that. And I just thought to myself, like, the US is where it's at. Amazon was a great channel and a good learning experience. And then from there, I kind of was working on that business as well as Zen Green Tea for a year. But I saw when I moved to Bali and I joined CrossFit, this whole trend for like women in fitness and strength training. And they were actually using kind of loop rubber bands for the, like, for glutes and thigh building and toning. And I saw that my product then was a fad and it would soon be kind of overtaken and phased out by this new product. And I thought to myself, I want to get in on this new product trend. But wouldn't it be great if these bands were fabric and then they wouldn't break like the rubber ones, or they wouldn't roll, they wouldn't pinch. And then I also knew I didn't feel great about the branding of my other booty band company. It was called Booty Co. And it just felt a little bit like telling women what they should look like, rather than being something that like empowers women just to take control of their health and fitness. And you can do that from any size, any age. And so I wanted to build something that was more empowering, that I would be really happy and I could think was actually doing some good in the world. So that's when I also wanted to build a business that was more in my control. So off Amazon, or like only Amazon having a part of the sales channel. So I spent the time and I thought about what I wanted the brand to be. And it was all about stepping into the arena of your life, and if you take your fitness and your health into your own control, bring that strength into asking for promotion, into your home life, into just asking for what you want and getting what you want out of life. So I built the brand Arena Strength, and then it started out on Amazon, and I just really focused on having an amazing product. Like, our bands are still, I think, the best out there. They're the best quality. We offer the best training resources. We give women this amazing community. And then straight away, because I knew Amazon as a channel, it kind of really took off on Amazon. And then I spent about 3 months learning a lot about Facebook ads and sales channels, sales funnels. And I tweaked, kind of a Facebook ads funnel. And then within 3 months of tweaking that kind of formula, it really took off. I kind of hit the right ad to the right audiences with the right messaging at the right price point. And then I could just massively scale that. So then Facebook became kind of one of our major channels for sales. And then so in the first year, then we did around $3 million in sales off one product. And now our second year, we're running at around 11 million US a year. And that's off kind of just 3 products.
Wow.
And we quickly scaled out. We're selling in the US, then we went to UK, Canada, and Australia.
So what I noticed about your story, Erin, is that you always picked winners. Like the green tea like was a winner, and you got into 3,000 stores in Australia, and then you went into the band, but it was inspired off of you needing to heal your own back and then wanting to help other women do that, and then having another version of the band, which was even better, and so that wouldn't die out because of a fad. So, what is why are you so good at picking winners?
Yeah, I do think it is like a talent of mine to know, like, just know what makes money. Like, I always have always have ideas and things like that. I think I'm always my own customer. So
Uh-huh.
I'm always very aware in my life. Like, if I go anywhere, I'm like, oh, I would do it this way, or this is a pain point that's annoying me, or I would do this product in a better way. Like, so I've primed myself to see solutions to problems. And then I think puts me in the headspace to always kind of, to be thinking about ideas. But I
Hmm.
also think I'm very like, I don't really like, I've been brought up, I don't like spending money, or I just really like getting value for my money. And it's like,
Okay.
if I'm going to part with my money, I really want to know, okay, what am I getting? It's a careful decision. I'll think about things for weeks often, pros and cons, and then I'll buy something. And I think that being really careful with my money means that whatever I'm producing, like, and selling, I want to, really deliver value. And I'm really like, what am I delivering? What am I delivering? And I wouldn't put something out there unless like I would pay for it myself. And that's a really high bar.
Right.
So I think that's another thing too. And I'm really always, addressing pain points for customers. And I'm often, I'm not reinventing a new, like I'm not creating something often that's new. I'm just seeing something that's already selling and I'm doing it better. Um,
What
and then adding more value. And
that makes sense. What's the thought process you go through? So say you want to invest X amount of dollars in marketing for your business or X amount of dollars in creating a product for your business. So what's your thought process that you run us through that you have to help people understand like, okay, I'm an entrepreneur, maybe I can learn from your thought process to understand what would be a worthy investment of me putting my money somewhere.
yeah, sure. So I guess like what I would always do first is look at, what person or what customer, what community am I serving?
Mhm.
So for example, with my fabric resistance bands, even in the beginning, I was thinking to myself, okay, I'm serving the everyday woman who wants to work out at home. She, wants to build her booty and tone her thighs and probably, shape up. And then I would look at, okay, well, from that customer, what are they already buying? So I'd maybe understand that, yeah, I want to sell these bands and I think they would be fantastic, but I'd take a step back and be like, well, what else are they buying? Is there another even better product that I'm missing here? Just so that you have kind of all the information on the table. And
Mhm.
then I'd probably, I'd, for example, join some other Facebook groups of these women. I would, and then I would actually go in and look at, okay, where are they buying from? What are they wearing? What are they saying they're using? Like, kind of just do all this customer research. And I'd be like, okay, they're having protein, they're buying leggings, they're buying workout mats, they're buying, they use rubber resistance bands. They often subscribe to like a fitness app or at least, a program. These are sort of programs they're doing. And then I'd look, okay, if they're already spending all their money on these things, where are they unhappy with where they're spending their money,
Mhm.
where they haven't got a better solution. And for me, when I was looking at that, I was really like, okay, it is the rubber resistance bands. Like a lot of them are using them every day. And these ones roll, they break, they snap. Like they're a real pain point, and women have to then keep spending their money on this.
Mhm.
And it's such, and then if I would actually then, like some of my friends, and my mom is one of these like women that I'm trying to serve. I'd be like, hey, like you're using this, would you use this? And my mom would be like, yes. And I'd get her sample and be like, try this. And she's like, this is way better. And then she'd tell her friend, and her friend would message me on Facebook and be like, hey, Jenny brought her band. Can I get one from you? And that's always when I'm like, okay, when I'm telling someone my idea and their friends are messaging me wanting in on it, that's when I know that something's good. And that's when, yeah, and that's when I would still always then only invest a little amount of money, like maybe $500 in having an initial 50 samples of the product.
Mhm.
And then so when I sell those, I'd invest in more. So even if I was wrong, I wouldn't like have put a lot of money
Money
into it.
into it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
proving it every step. So
So the secret is mom's network. That's it.
yeah, basically.
Actually, do you know what a squatty potty is?
Yeah, I listened to that podcast you did on
Did you?
it.
That was the secret to his network too. Mom's poop stool, that's it. So
Yeah, like getting that early feedback from your customer is so important.
absolutely. And especially like, yeah, I know many businesses are growing like that, and that's really, really ingenious because it works, and now you have a very successful business out of it. That's awesome. So okay, so going back to your timeline, we had the green tea business, and then you created one version of the bands. Was this under the Arena Strength brand?
No,
It-
no. So it
okay.
was under a Booty Co brand that I, yeah, felt was a bit icky.
Okay. And so you built that brand up and then decided to kind of dissolve that brand over time and then evolve it into the band that you have now in Arena Strength, right?
Yeah, I kind of just let it was always only an Amazon product, and I just let it
Mhm.
run, and it was running for maybe even the first year of Arena. It was still selling. But then, sales dwindled, and I kind of just let it sell out and just
Okay.
closed up shop. So
But you said pretty quickly it got to 50, did you say 50,000 a month in on Arena?
yeah,
Yeah.
so I'd say within the first month it kind of got to that revenue level, and then it was really, really good. But then over time, I think, as you see with Amazon, competitors come in, it gets eroded. The market was changing, and women were very quickly educating themselves on strength training.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, it was basically with the rise of arena bands was the decline of, the other booty co bands. So
Yeah. One thing that I did, okay, so I'll talk about that in a second, but one thing I did, so, okay, so we went into Arena Strength, and when did you launch Arena Strength?
So I launched that it kind of kicked off in November 2018.
Okay, so just like 2 years ago, literally.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
But you were business was kind of struggling, right? You were down like $5,000 a month towards the end of the second band, right? And you were kind of at a pivotal moment in your life, right?
Well, so when I was in Colombia, that was when Zen Green Tea was kind of at around like $5,000 a month,
Okay.
and and I was like, that was when Arthur challenged me. He's like, I think you need to play in a bigger field and look at America,
Hmm.
and then I agreed with him, and that's when basically then I spent a couple of months developing Booty Co, and then so my then revenue went up to when that took off to like 50 grand, and probably when I started Arena, it was sitting around 30 grand a month, I
Hmm.
would say. So still like that was great. I had space and time to spend like learning and developing more of a brand and thinking about the business I wanted to build next, which was amazing. So
Gotcha. Okay. And then so tell us about kind of the launch of Arena Strength. Like what are some of the things that really helped it to take off?
yeah, sure. So I guess in the beginning when I launched Arena, I brought on straight away. Just I met a fantastic girl in Bali, Sophie, who she was very like she's a CrossFit trainer, and I said to her, "Listen, I can't pay you a lot, but there could be a massive future kind of working with me in this brand. If you have time, would you, maybe $15 an hour, run our Instagram and just pick up, whatever I need you to do in this business?" And then she was also then going back to be a student kind of president. And I said, and in a year's time, I could potentially bring you on full time if Arena's, doing really well. So that was great. Straight away, I was outsourcing a lot of stuff to her, and I could focus in on the business. And so
Hmm.
the first thing I did was, okay, we need to get money through the door. Like once I developed the product, and I already knew Amazon as a channel, and that's kind of the easiest way to because Amazon delivers you the customers really if you kind of pick your niche right, if you have the right keywords in there, if it's a right like value add for the customer. So straight away, I launched the bands on Amazon.
Hmm.
And so within kind of 2-3 months, it was doing really well, probably 15 20 grand a month on Amazon.
How
And
much
that
how much
really,
in marketing were you putting into that?
I wasn't putting anything in marketing. I
Okay.
just was the first kind of premium fabric resistance band on Amazon. So I
Oh
was really
wow.
one of
Okay.
the early ones. Like there was maybe one other brand, but they were kind of a bit ugly,
Hmm.
and kind of they were different. One of the main things is they were three different sizes. So they varied the resistance by giving you a really large band or a really small band. And
Okay.
that was kind of really crappy for the user. So I kind of made all mine the same size, with different resistance in the fabric, and that was a real selling point on Amazon. So
Okay.
straight away they were selling kind of without any Amazon marketing. And then I also from the beginning focused on community. So I made sure that we offered a lot of free workout resources. So any customers that kind of were using our bands would then join our Facebook group, and
Hmm.
then Sophie would manage the Facebook community. And it was definitely like crickets in the beginning. It was really hard to get anyone to interact. But very soon, maybe when I hit like a 50 customer tipping point and we started running booty challenges in the Facebook group, we got some really great like community involvement in there from our customers.
Hmm.
So all the time I was doing that, and then I was learning about Facebook ads. So I did like a Depeche Mandalia course. I learned about, I was studying competitors and how and similar brands and how they were running, what ads they were advertising to. And then I was kind of researching on Facebook. I was like, okay, who can I target that's going to be relevant? And then what are the main pain points? And I was kind of listening to our customer feedback and what they were loving about the bands and what they really, to get the wording out of there. Like they wanted to feel the burn. They wanted to, lift and shape and tone.
Uh-huh.
And then so I was putting all those kind of words into a landing page. And then basically I was experimenting with the price. Like, I initially was trying to run my Facebook ads funnel where it's like, hey, it's $49, wasn't getting many takers. I was like, okay, it's $39, getting some like a lot of takers. And I was like, okay, it's 59, but I'm giving you 20 off. So
Hmm.
you get it for 39. And suddenly that was like the sweet spot. And then I could really like put ads out there on Facebook to the right audience and be getting great sales. I'd put in, this is like Facebook's a bit more expensive now than it was 2 years ago, but I put in $1 and I get back $6 or $7. And
Nice.
that's when I was like, fantastic, like order loads of stock, massively scale up. And then just kind of, I went in January, Facebook ads was maybe doing 15 grand for us. And then in February, I think I scaled it up. So we were doing 300 grand in revenue, just from Facebook ads. And then the next month it was even more than that. And yeah, it was really, so having those like paid acquisition channels where I could get that formula right, put $1 in and know that I would get back roughly this amount of dollars,
Hmm.
really enabling to scale. So
Yeah. What is the like so many people use Facebook ads and they just flop. So where do you think they're failing where you succeeded? I think what comes to the top of my mind, Erin, is like superior product, right? Very niched um, customer, right? You know exactly who you're targeting. And then what? What else is fill in the gaps for us and tell us why
yeah,
is it working
sure.
so well for you?
So I think a lot of, because you even see like a lot of drop shippers do very well selling like kind of sweaters on Facebook, that kind of thing. So I think it's more so that you need to be, a lot of people, if they have an e-commerce store or something, they maybe try and advertise all the products at once, like come to our fitness store and we have all the products that you need for your fitness brand. Whereas like people want to buy something that solves a singular pain point.
Hmm.
So people should, number one, always be advertising just one product and kind of one pain point. And then, yeah, they should be really nailing what that pain point is. So the one that we led with is fabric bands that won't break or roll, because, breaking or rolling was a really good pain point. But another potential pain point we could have used is, lift and sculpt your like glutes and butt and thighs. But then you have to think about what you have to educate the customer on. If I was to go for the lifting butt approach, I would have had to educate, okay, you want to lift your butt. Did you know bands can lift your butt? Did you know we have better bands, the best bands on the market? And I have to bridge all these things. So you want to try and avoid like a lot of bridges because it just creates more effort to sell to a customer. So
Okay.
like we went fabric bands that don't break or roll, and that was straight away ours are the best fabric bands. And that was just kind of one bridge, and that was enough to sell to our customer quite easily.
Hmm.
Um, and then I think that a lot of people don't invest the time into looking at what are the best format of ads. I looked at a lot of amazing e-commerce brands that I knew were spending on Facebook, not necessarily in our niche or not. And I looked at how their ads were. A few examples were like Hi Smile and Frank Body and Sand and Sky. And I actually then broke down, okay, they're doing a 30-second ad. It's square, and frame by frame, I would screenshot it into a PowerPoint document and kind of just look at, okay, like how quickly are they changing scenes? What kind of footage are they using? What wording are they using? What's their call to action at the end? And then I would then, in my second screen, build our ad based on a similar kind of story,
Okay.
like, and changing up like, because it's, yeah, and there's so many little things that you pick up on that. Like the first 3 seconds of a video ad, it needs to pattern interrupt. So it needs to be flashing. It needs to be like text straight away. You need to be changing scenes very quickly.
Hmm.
It needs kind of the right social proof. So I really looked at case studies, and Facebook ads are always changing and evolving. So we're always looking at what's going on so that we can kind of be at the forefront of what we're showing customers.
Hmm.
And then so have a really good Facebook ad, and then you have to then make sure that when customers click on that, the experience is seamless then on the landing page. Like the landing page kind of matches the ad. It's the same pain points that you're highlighting. And then so we did landing page, and then we went straight to like a one-page checkout. So it was
Hmm.
very seamless. We didn't give them many options of where else to go. And that worked really well from us, because then I could like take a step back and I know the formula at each stage of the funnel. I know how much it's costing us to show this ad to X amount of people. I know how many people are clicking on it at what cost. I know how many people are landing on the landing page. I then know how many people are clicking through to the one-page checkout, which is the first time they'll see the price. And then I knew how many people were checking out. So then I can kind of see what are my stats at each stage of the funnel. Okay, what's letting me down? And then I would reach out to peers and be like, hey, like you have a landing page. How many people are clicking through? Like, oh, 25%. Okay, I'm only getting 10% here. I'm going to fix my landing page and try and get 25%. And how does that change my formula?
Yeah.
And then so that was like a very like methodical way. And that was the biggest difference with Arena Strength. I just used a methodical way to develop that formula. And then I knew then if something, for example, even now, like if our Facebook ads results are tanking for a few days, I'd be like, okay, take a step back, pull all our funnel numbers, and then look what area is letting us down. And lately, quarter four, it's our cost, it's Facebook's what they're charging us to show our ad to 1,000 people, is double, triple the price because it's like
Mhm.
everyone's bidding at the moment. So I'm like, okay, so it's not really in our control. So we're going to pull back ad spend then and wait till it reduces like come January. Like, whereas if I didn't have those numbers, I wouldn't know what it was. And I might just be like, oh, our ads are broken, or maybe there's something wrong with our website, or, so it's really important to be able to like just understand the numbers.
Yeah. It makes total sense. So I can tell just by listening to you, like you're on fire. Like you've got a brain that is producing and going a million miles per hour. And you talked about in some literature I read about you, that you talked about how you were, I think, working so hard, and then you came to a point where you had to create a productivity system that you could structure out to kind of balance your life so much. Well, when that came when you came to that point, Erin, were you on the verge of burnout, or were you just you just what happened when that made you make that shift?
Yeah, sure. So I guess like when this is all kind of like it's key. I look at what time in my life with so many changes, and was when I was in Colombia and I met Arthur, and
Mhm.
I was just working. I was working all the time, but I would say like not at all. I would like, I would never have a personal life, and it was just like, okay, well, I actually only do like maybe an hour of something that moves the needle on my business. I was otherwise just fluffing around, lots of
Yeah.
admin. And it was actually talking to Arthur, and he's like, at the time, he now like teaches people productivity. He's a productivity coach, but at the time he was just doing it because that's what he loves doing. And then so I would say to him like, okay, well, what can I do? And he's like, well, you should first of all track your time. How are you spending your time? So I spent a week where I wrote down in 15-minute increments everything that I was doing, and at the end of that week I added up how many minutes here am I actually putting towards business growth, and it was around 45 minutes a day. And I was
Mhm.
like, that's terrible. Like, if I have an 8 hour work day, I could get so much more done.
Yeah.
And then so I was like, well, what's next? And he's like, well, why don't you start planning out your time in advance? And I was like, okay. And then so I set kind of these bigger business goals for myself, and then I planned my week in advance. I blocked out deep work chunks in the morning and just did admin in the afternoons. And then at that stage, I was doing maybe 20, I worked and I was doing 20 hours a week of business, stuff that actually moves the needle towards growing my business. That's a huge difference.
Hmm.
And then I felt like I was keeping everything in my head still, and I needed something that would help me actually plan out my week. So then I found, Trello, the software system. And then everything that I had to do, I created some like columns on this. And I teach all this in my lecture series. If anyone wants, I have a productivity session on it. Um, and I just created like work admin, life admin, work deep work, and then waiting for kind of columns. And then I created cards and put everything I needed to do in my entire life in this system. And then basically, then I throughout my week I created like where I would process all my inboxes, and everything I needed to do would always go in the system. Then
Hmm.
I'd spend kind of 4 hours a week rearranging, prioritizing, making sure that everything in my kind of Trello was up to date, and what I needed to do. And then I would book in that for my week ahead, making sure that I prioritize business growth first, and kind of admin and everything else last. And I'd be very strict around creating a container in my workday. So start work at 6, finish at 12:30 at lunchtime. Afternoons I book in sport, evenings with friends, get a great amount of sleep. And then I'd set a real clear guideline around that. And then I was just getting so much more done that I just kept that same structure for 2, 3 years now, and I wouldn't go back to, if I was to load in more stuff in work in the afternoons, I know that I would do less actually overall.
Did
So
you feel like you were getting more stuff done with work with that structure?
oh, absolutely. Like I would say that, you could just see it in my revenue levels, like running 5,000 a month to now a million, more than a million a month,
Uh-huh.
and working less, and feeling like I have headspace, and having, all these amazing other personal things in my life. So made a huge difference. I'd say it was one of the biggest things that helped me get to where I am today.
That's amazing. So often what people struggle with is trying to create that structure to have work time and then social time, and then not respecting the social time, right? It's 7 p.m. and not much is going on, so they just hop into the computer, check some email, get involved in a project. Then it's 11 p.m. and they just spent the past 3, 4 hours on the computer working, and they wake up tired the next day, and they're like all groggly from getting in. Hard stops are a beautiful thing. They're a magic pill to help us create balance in life and scale businesses as well. Did you find that hard to, once you put that boundary up, did you find that hard to keep those separate, to respect that? Did you ever like dive in at, 7 p.m. and open up the phone or laptop and start trying to start work again?
Yeah, I think that no, I think I if I have to do that, it's because I know that something's going wrong with the business. Like I had to do that a little bit during COVID because all our warehousing system, like and logistics is crazy, and I just had to put in extra hours. But I knew I was doing something wrong then, and I had to plan around it. But I think when I initially started, I didn't give myself a choice because the great thing about working and traveling was that in the afternoons we had planned out traveling. So, Arthur and I, when we first met, we bought a car and we drove from London all the way through Scandinavia, and the Baltics. And then so every afternoon we were out sightseeing, and then, yeah, basically, so we didn't have a choice but to just work in the morning, get everything done because we also wanted to travel. And then we did that for kind of a year and a half of like that travel work thing.
Mhm.
And then now we're living in Bali, and we just make sure I book stuff in the afternoons. Like I always break my day with like lunch and then like a nap. And then I go and I join a tennis academy and I go and have my tennis lessons and play games, and we book in nights with friends. So I think planning your week ahead. Like if you don't have anything else on, you might fall back into a bad habit. But
Yeah.
if you book in other things, and it forces you to get that work done in the morning because you want to get out and have the time to do other things in the afternoon.
Do you feel like you're completely turning it off when you go into the social time, or are you still thinking about business kind of in the back of your brain while you're working out or doing something in the evening?
Yeah, I think I completely switch off.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think it's a big part of that is also like breaking, because at the end of I had to do like an almost in that little end of day shutdown, something Arthur taught me, where it's like, okay, any project that's half finished, I would then go into my Trello and I'd write up the next few steps like for that project, and then so I know that when I come back to it, that I'm going to be able to pick up from where I left off. And then at the end of the day, 5:30 or something like that, I would review my tomorrow and be like, is tomorrow still relevant? Yes, it is. But today I didn't get this done. I'm adding it into tomorrow, adding it into the latter part of my week or back into my system. So like those sort of things, it's just closing the loop. So I'm not leaving anything like running in my mind.
Hmm.
So that really helps. And then also like, Arena now is at the stage where I have a great team. So a lot of the operations aren't flowing through me, they're flowing through our team, and we have processes and systems. And my role is really like new products and stuff like that. And strategy and just overviewing everything. And I have all those viewpoints booked into my week already, and I have a dedicated time to be doing that. So I don't need to be spending my personal time doing that.
So how big is your team now for Arena Store?
So we have 11 women.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and one great guy. So yeah, we've got 4 key managers,
Uh-huh.
and then we have 7 customer service kind of community staff.
How
So
did that guy get so lucky to get on there?
yeah, he's just very talented at Facebook ads. And he's amazing. He loves working with a team of women. So
That's great. And the whole team's they're all remote, correct?
yeah, correct. Yeah,
Where are
and
they
I
at
have
around the world?
yeah, sure. So our growth marketing manager, she's based in Australia. Our Facebook ads in-house manager, he's in Australia. I have community and COO. They're actually both in Bali, which is great. So they live in Canggu around the corner.
Uh-huh.
And then our customer service team are in the Philippines, America, and Barbados. Yeah,
Oh, very cool. And
yeah.
in all 38 hours, that's max, right? Everybody works 38 hours.
Yeah, well, our customer service team, they bill hourly. So if I tell them like, I don't ever want you to burn out, like you're all stay-at-home moms, like, just flexibly like tell us how you want to work. And
Mhm.
so some of them work 20 hours, some of them work 30. Some of them some weeks might want an extra income, so they might do 45. But I just say I give them a lot of flexibility, and they can kind of, as long as they're kind of they have things they have to do every day and they get those done, but they can kind of choose their own hours. But the full-time staff, yeah, that were paid on salary. I say to them, like, I don't expect you to work more than a 38-hour week. Like if you do, last month, our marketing manager, she worked a little bit more. And I said to her, it was Black Friday and things like that. And I said, try and like make sure you're taking time in lieu. And then like next month, the aim is 38. So like, please do plan and manage your week. So you are doing 38. I want you to be around for years and years, not burn yourself out,
Uh,
working any more than that. So
well, so where did you get the 38 number? I know the US is 40 hours a week. A lot of Europe is 35 hours a week. Is 38 an Australian thing or?
yeah, so I
Is it?
decided to try and do the Australian Fair Work guidelines. So
Okay.
that's 38. So, and I find that's a nice number. I try and work to that. So
Is that
yeah.
7 hours a day? Is that what that is? Or what?
Yeah, I think 7.5 a
Seven and
day.
a half a day. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Very cool. And so the business now is at 11 mil. What's your overhead like? So you guys are pulling in over around 1 million a month or so. What's the expenses balance to profit now?
Yeah, so I guess it varies every month. So we set a target of we want to have a 25 to 30% profit margin.
Hmm.
I think that's pretty healthy. We don't like it just we don't always hit that. Sometimes we're on 18%, 22%. But I think at the moment it's harder for us because a lot of our costs are acquisition costs. So we don't have a huge range of a number of products. So every time we sell something, we have to spend money to acquire the customer through marketing.
Right.
So one of my biggest things that I'm working on in the next 5 years for Arena Strength is we want to develop, a whole range of amazing products. And that means that, our customers love us. They want to buy more from us. They're telling us to create all these things for them. But we can't create products fast enough. And so we're not like capitalizing on wanting to sell to our community. So I've got some great products in the pipeline for next year, and we've built one of the amazing things we did last year is built a fitness app. So
Yeah.
do amazing band programs on subscription for our customers who want to kind of work out resources. So kind of recurring revenue products. So that's one of the major things that's going to help us reduce kind of because our marketing costs can be anywhere from 20 to 30 to 35%, which is huge.
Yeah.
So if we can reduce that down, then that's all going to help us with our margins and things like that. So I think yeah, with Arena Strength, our operating costs are very, very lean. Our team and our being remote and everything we do is very efficient,
Mhm.
but we spend that extra money on marketing. So that's helped us grow so much. And now we need to bring out more products to reduce that kind of percentage to get to where we want to be with our margins. So
Where do you want to be?
25, yeah, I set the goal of
January.
like,
Go ahead.
yeah, it was hard because I always with business, I'm always gunning it for like as best that we can do, as much money as we can make. Like we want to access as many customers as we can. But I was placing so much pressure on my team. And I was also then not able myself to celebrate the wins. Arena Strength has achieved so much and I want to reward my team and be like, we're on track. And so something I thought about is, well, what am I aiming for? And I actually just said to myself, if in 5 years' time we can make 25 million US a year with a 25 to 30% profit margin, like that's fantastic. That means that we're really healthy, that we're serving our customers in a great sustainable way. That business is going to be worth something if I want to sell it one day.
Hmm.
And then so I took a step back and I'm like, what does that mean then for our path in terms of growth percentage from now? And it was actually super conservative. So like next year, we're kind of just aiming for, I think like 2% growth on our current products, maybe like 15% growth overall. And we have all these new products coming out. And then from that, I can be like, well, what does each month look like? Okay. And then to achieve that each month, what does a product mix look like that we have to sell in our different regions? Okay. If we're selling that, what does the team look like? So suddenly I'm much better able to plan the business. And then every month we can then say to our managers, okay, well, this is our aim. Like, did we achieve it or did we not? And like work towards that. And it just took a lot of the pressure off. And it felt really good to do that. So I think that's, because otherwise I would have been like, next year we should make 100 million. Like,
Of course.
that's kind of just my personality. And I was like, that's so like, I'm going to burn everyone out. And we're probably going to then be forced to like produce products that we're not loving. And I want to always
Mhm.
produce amazing products for our customers.
Yeah.
Um, so
It,
yeah.
it's a healthy balance that we have to learn between the ambition we have to make more money and then making sure that our business is giving good quality products and services, and we have to take a step back sometimes to see the bigger vision of this. And it's not always easy, right? Because our minds are like more and more and more, grow bigger, bigger, bigger.
Yeah,
Um,
totally. Yeah.
so something that I'm curious about, like you've done this over the past 2 years, which is phenomenal, like amazing job. And then have you noticed a drive? Because I'm sure a lot of females out there would be curious about this. As an entrepreneur, have you noticed a difference in your either your mindset or your ability to work since you've been pregnant? Like, is this something that has had a big effect on how you're engaging with the team and how you're engaging with your own business personally?
Yeah, sure. So I guess, yeah, it definitely has. It. I've always wanted to operate like, because I love product development. I love like strategy. But I don't love operations, and I'm not the best at it. I can do it, but it's just not like something I really love. So I always had in mind of like, oh, I'm going to hire a general manager, and they're going to like really like run the business operation rhythms, and I'm going to be like kind of acting as the owner and new product, and kind of also work on other stuff. Like I want to get more into like coaching female entrepreneurs and things like that. And then when we got pregnant, I was like, okay, so I have 9 months now to like get this next stage sorted. And that was like right after COVID hit. So the business like changed a lot in those few months anyway. And it was the first time I actually was bringing on a management team. Like before that, it was basically me and Sophie and our customer service staff. But then I brought on kind of the high level managers. And then yeah, it made me map out then if I want to take a good 3 months off when the baby's born and then come back in to a role where I just do the things that I really want to do in the business. What do I need? And
Hmm.
then I was like, well, these are the areas. Like I drew out a big organization chart, and I was like, here we are now. Here's where we need to be. And then I was like, what's the gaps here? And like, what do I need to hire to fill these gaps? And then I really discovered I need like a really smart COO who can handle like all the operations functions and stuff like that. And then so I went to market and I found an amazing girl who's now working for me a month now, and she's fantastic. She's ex McKinsey, super smart. And
Hmm.
then so I've just been working side by side, and we're sorted out our logistics and processes. We're sorting out our finances, like, and all the processes around that. She's starting to manage the team. And then I'm kind of like, she's working side by side with me for a good 6 months so she can learn kind of like how I think about things, and because I kind of know all the background on e-commerce and stuff like that she doesn't necessarily have yet. So it's just a forcing mechanism for that. And so I know now that come March, when I'm about to have a baby, that I'm going to have already at least be working a month or two where everything runs through her. And she
Hmm.
asks me if something goes wrong, and then I teach her. So then I'm going to be able to take some really great time off. So it just sped things along a lot, really.
Yeah, I noticed that amongst my male friends, once their wives or their girlfriends get pregnant, all of a sudden they start to make more money, and it was like, what were you holding back for the whole time? You know, it's like, well, you could do this anytime, and but their psyche changes, right? It's like, oh, okay, I've got a baby coming that I now have to provide for and take care of, and I've seen it so many times amongst guys, and they'll just like they'll change and their income will 2x 3x 4x whatever, and their business will just start to skyrocket. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to ask you, because I've never seen, I've never asked from the female perspective, is if that's something that has a real a strong effect on the growth of your business.
Yeah, definitely. And I think one of the main things, like one of the key reasons I also wanted to be an entrepreneur, is that when I was working in corporate, I looked at the future and I thought, in my 30s, I want to have a child and be a mother. But I hate the idea of having to then like take maternity leave and then be at home the whole time, and just, and if, and then also, or be stressed and trying to half it of like part-time work and then be at home and trying to be this like super mom. And I didn't want that for myself. So I wanted to build myself freedom so that I could earn income and take time off, and I could dip back into a little bit of business when I felt like I had the time to do that. And so I could really enjoy, the process of motherhood. And so I really want to, in the next few months, like set myself up so I can really enjoy it. Like, when my baby's born, I want to be there. And if I want to spend all my time just with them, I'll do that. If I want to like spend, my morning still working, and then, the rest of my time with the baby, I want to do that as well. Like I just want to give myself ultimate freedom and flexibility to
Hmm.
like really enjoy that next stage of motherhood. So
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to ask you is I was going through your Instagram earlier, and one thing that I thought was really wise of you guys is to so many health and coaching and fitness and influencers focus on just 100% of their marketing, especially when it comes to Instagram and social media, on only like these model types of women, right? And all the pictures up there are just like gorgeous women, want these abs, want these biceps, want these legs or whatever. And then you guys have a variety there because you have your main trainer, and then you have results of women that have used your product, and then they show before and after pictures. And it's all different types of women. It's not just women that are, did I lose you? Are you frozen? I think you're frozen. Uh-oh. Are you still there? Can you hear me still?
Yeah, sorry.
It
It
froze
was,
for a second. Yeah,
yeah, a tiny bit. Sorry about that.
that's
It might
okay.
be
What's
my
the last
internet.
thing? What's the last thing that you heard?
So I think you were saying that we have a variety of women of all shapes and sizes on our Instagram, and that's very
Mhm.
different to our competitors.
Yes.
And I gather you were kind of asking me a little bit about that.
Yes. Yeah. And I think it's very wise. I think it's smart because very few people do that, especially in the fitness industry. And it focuses on real women of all different shapes and sizes, not just the model types. And I think that's really, I mean, I would imagine this is part of your strategy, to niche down on, maybe it's the mom that's at home, or a woman that's struggling with her weight, or somebody that just, that's just even wants to be fit, that's, in all these. So could you expand on that a little bit for us?
Yeah, sure. So I guess it all kind of starts with like when I was spending that time thinking about what values I want to live my life by and what values I want my business to have. One of them was just that, like the idea of empowerment and contribution, and never doing anything that felt icky anymore for me, like doing something, and I myself, when I'm on Instagram or when I'm, working out, I'm like, I'm not like a fitness model. I don't have, not because like they're never really super, super tight or anything like that. And I would just feel like it would be really unauthentic to say and to kind of just continue promoting that there's one way to look, that you have to work out so that you can look like this. Whereas rather, you can work out just to be healthy and you're beautiful, whatever size you are and whatever age you are. And I think that we, like in the media, we absolutely need to be showcasing, all these different types of women so that women can feel good about themselves and not have to look a certain way. And then so we made a really active effort, probably not initially with our brand because we were tight on budget and we just had one model in Canggu that did all of our media basically. But
Mhm.
ever since we've had a little bit more budget to play with, we've definitely and a huge community now. We've spotted women of all different ages, of all different shapes and sizes, and we've said, hey, that's an amazing video of you using our bands. Can we repost that on our social media? Or like when we're doing, local shoots and things like that, we're looking for all these types of different women to showcase. And I think that's really one of the major reasons our Facebook community group is so amazing. Like we have 55,000 women now in our Facebook community group. And I
Nice.
think when I checked the engagement stats, like 98% of them had interacted in the group in the last 30 days. Like,
Wow,
and
that's phenomenal.
the and it's the yeah, and like the posts that they're having, it's so inspiring. Like every day you see these women who are like, hey, I've got depression, but I got my bands and I've woken up and I've done 10 minutes and I feel really good now. And like everyone can go ahead and do it for themselves. And you see another woman who's like, I'm 300 pounds and I'm now at 280. I'm on my health journey. Like it's so inspiring. And like I'm a 64-year-old woman and my husband grabs my butt every day now. Like it's so nice just to see that, like,
Uh-huh.
yeah, like all these women are just are really proud of themselves and they're taking control of their health and their fitness. And we're not saying like you have to, like you're doing this for any other reason but for yourself. And I think that's so nice. And I think the online space is very much moving towards authenticity, perhaps,
Uh-huh.
especially with COVID and everyone kind of, being flashy or being looking a certain way. Or like, I think Victoria's Secret is really suffering right now because they have such a one-dimensional view of what women should look like goddesses, where
Mhm.
actually all these brands that are starting to do really well are showing much more inclusivity. And
Yeah.
I think women are really, as we're growing in our own equality and our own empowerment, we're starting to push back and spend our money and demand that. And yeah, and I'm proud to hopefully that arena is going to be a part of that. So
Yeah, that's fascinating. Um, so one thing we're doing is we're doing a series of major influencers, major entrepreneurial influencers, and we've done about 75, 80 of these interviews now. And I like to ask each guest, what are two or three things that you do to help manage your influence as an entrepreneur, especially as a female entrepreneur. But one of the things I heard you mention earlier is that not doing anything that feels icky. And so could you dive into that a little bit, what that feels like? Because I experienced this myself, in the past as an entrepreneur. And times things come up. It's like, is this what I really want to promote? And like, okay, no, take a step back. This is not the image that I want to focus on. So what does that mean for you, not doing things that feel icky?
yeah, I guess like, yeah, so I think there's two things here. Like, I don't yet have like a real personal brand as an entrepreneur. I think that's something that I'm going to work on in the next year, of like trying to help educate women around entrepreneurship. And for me personally, that just means like I don't want to be someone that's just like, for me, that's just fluff. That's kind of just a face, and that's just motivational, but never gives anything tactile. Like, the people that I follow and the people that I respect are the people that I learn from and that I see that are hustling, that are giving real genuine advice. So for me, that means, okay, well, when I'm going out and I'm going to maybe take the next step into coaching and things like that, it's always looking at like, how am I adding value? How am I helping someone get to where they want to be? I never want to be someone where someone looks at and kind of thinks, oh, they have the perfect life. And that's like
Mhm.
great. But I'm saying, like, look at me in my perfect life. And if you look hard enough, you might get here. Like, that's kind of like, it just feels gross. I want to be
Uh-huh.
actually like, I'm just like you, and here's all the resources and here's all the knowledge, and here I'm going to teach you so you can get there, and just enjoy my teachings. Like, you don't have to, I'm not some like celebrity influencer or whatever, just like, but I'm going to help you and teach you and help you get there. I want to help people get to where they want to be. I just don't want to show them the end results. I think, yeah. So for me, it's all, and then it's framing that of like not the next phase of my life doesn't necessarily have to be about making tons of money. I've kind of like achieved my financial goals with arena strength. So I
Mhm.
want to then like have the right balance of like, doing something that adds a lot of value, but still it should make money, because money is how you grow a movement and how you reach more people and things like that. So I think it's all about, just understanding and setting those clear guidelines. Like, if I had someone come to me for advice or coaching or something like that, and I didn't see a really clear roadmap for them, and I hadn't been there before, there's no way I would then like work with them just to take their money or something like that. Like, that sits so wrongly for me.
Yeah.
So I think it's just all about really knowing myself and my own values, and making sure that I'm using that as a matrix and making all my decisions. So
That's it. Like spending time to go inward and understand yourself and your values so you know where your boundaries are, right? What are some ways, Aaron, that you take that time to I know you spent the year traveling abroad, but take time to kind of go inward so um you're just checked in with yourself so you know where you're at emotionally, mentally, even spiritually, maybe, so you know where you're at and what you want to communicate to your team and what you want to create through the business.
yeah, sure. So I think like yeah, it starts out with, I read the book Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins, which
Hmm.
gave a really good framework for like identifying the values you want to live your life by. And those haven't really changed for me in the past 2.5, 3 years. So I definitely like down, and I have that as a clear guide for myself. And then almost I use a planner, and it basically has 8 areas of your life. Love and partnership, productivity and performance, wellness. So every week I'm checking in each of these areas of my life, and I'm kind of scoring them, and I'm setting goals in these areas, and I'm asking myself how I'm doing. And if any the lowest scoring area, I'm basically then actively working on. So at any one point I'm trying to improve like the lowest scoring area of my life. And it really kind of helps me keep things balanced, and it shows that, the business and work is just 1/8 of my life, really. And when I keep everything at a good level, that's when I feel really great within myself. And that's then I also, yeah, that's how I look at it for myself, really. And if I'm doing well, then I find everything else is doing well, the business does well. I'm
Mhm.
teaching my staff to, to also take care of themselves personally, take care of themselves professionally.
Yeah.
Everyone's responsible for setting their own boundaries, and just being kind to everyone in my team, basically, and understanding.
What's the name of the planner? Is it a generic planner or is it
It's Traction Planner, so it's the one my partner does.
okay?
So yeah, basically, him and I were working out wanting a planner for ourselves, and we're like, "What's our ideal planner?" Then we like drew it up, and yeah, so I can give you the link to it or something like that. But it's very good, and I like it because of those. It just there's many planners that do many things, but this one I like that it just has those 8 areas of life, and you're constantly checking in, and then you're able to then plan your day around kind of those areas too. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. I think that's a phenomenal podcast, Erin. Do you have any more bits of wisdom you want to share with us?
No, I just think that I hope a lot of women listen to this podcast and know that they can absolutely build a business, and they can do it on their own terms, and they can do it in a way that gives them freedom, the freedom that they want in life. You don't have to work more than 38 hours a week. You don't need a huge amount of investment. You don't need to have, huge infrastructures and things like that. You can very much, as I have done, and in a very short amount of time, build something fantastic. And I think there's a huge opportunity now for women, because women are one of the main buyers of everything right
Of
now. Like
course.
they buy,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, buy a lot more than men, and we
Yeah.
understand women the best because we are women and we can address our needs. And so we should absolutely be running these big companies, selling products to women. So yeah, so I think please do like hop onto that my free lecture series, because I really do talk about, you know how to establish the business that you want to build, how to find, build a brand, how to find a community to serve. I talk about how to, like, a really narrow approach to like finding a product that's going to sell. I then talk about how to build your sales funnel kind of to sell that product, and how to test it, and then when it's working, then you can build like business operations that aren't going to like take up a lot of your time. So I kind of, I give you a very like narrow path, so you're not going to get distracted, you're not going to do a million different things, and it's all for free. And a lot of people have said that it's, given them a lot of guidance. So whether you want to get started, or whether you feel stuck in the business you're currently in and you want to get to a next level, do check that out. I really hope it adds a lot of value for you. So
And that's arenastrength.com/learn, correct?
yes, yes.
And then the name of your Facebook group if some women would like to join it.
Yeah. So on that hyperlink, arenastrength.com/learn, I'm just going to forward it to the Facebook group
Okay.
for people to join. So it's how to build a business, how to build a 7-figure business without giving up your life. Very long name. So that's going to be the group. That shorter link will direct you to that group. So
I love it. Erin, I've really enjoyed this podcast. It's been such a delight to hear from you, and glad that we finally got you on the microphone. Thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom, and thank you for just kicking ass as an entrepreneur. You're doing a really great job. And I love to see women have success, like just really, really great success. And it's so inspiring to see. So thanks so much for coming on the show.
oh, thank you, Chris. I think you're doing fantastic things. I love listening to your podcast, and it's very inspiring for me. So thank you.
Thank you. And listeners, thank you guys for tuning in once again. And we'll see you all on the next episode. Goodbye, everybody.